We're working on a Ram ProMaster City today. I'm going to be adding some power USB ports to the front here. So if you have one of these, there's a 12 volt constant and a 12 volt key on in the middle of the console there. To me, I'm not sure why they would do that, because obviously you got a drink holder in the front, drink holder in the back. If you've got something like a USB port plugged into your constant and you would accidentally spill something in there, it's DC, it's probably not going to short it out and burn it up, but it's going to make a mess. So why in the middle there is beyond my wildest dreams. So there's a USB port up in the front here, but if you try to plug in, it's connected to the radio. So if you're trying to charge like your headphones or something, you'll get a non-compatible and they won't charge. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap the power off the key on and the hot wire. And I'm going to find a place up in here to mount them once I figure out where I want to mount them at. I like the constant because if you're trying to charge your phone, like you know, if you're on a job site or something, your phone's dying, you got to find a way to charge it. You can't just leave it in the vehicle, because as soon as you turn the key off, it dies. So I'm going to see if I can figure out where I'm going to mount my phone. I'm probably going to just put my phone up here in the dashboard. So I'm going to try to get away. If I can get to the back of the dash easy enough, I might even mount a USB port right in the back here. I might mount it on the side. I may mount it here. I've got to pull this apart, see what kind of space I've got, and then figure out where to mount it at. I've also got a dash cam I'm going to put up here. So I might put one up in the top part, somewhere around the compartment up in the top, and then feed my dash cam wire through there and out to the top, so I don't have to go around the windscreen. So I started on this already. I pulled a couple screws out. I figure I'm not going to make you watch me take every single screw out of here. I can just show you where they are, and then you can take them out. First thing I did is take the screws out of the console. There are 3 screws in here. There's one there. There's one in the middle, which is kind of hard to get to. And then there's one in the very back. So 3 on each side of the console. Take those 3 screws out first. I may actually take the seat out of here just to make it a little bit easier for me, but I don't know. Once I pull this up, I'll be able to see what's underneath there, and I can tell you whether I'm going to pull the seat out or not. If you're going to pull the seat, you've only got 3 wiring harnesses under there, and there's 4 Torx bolts, and the seat falls out. So it may just be easier to get the seat out of my way and then be able to work without. So I did decide I want to remove the seat. So basically, I'm going to push in on this tab and unplug the wiring harnesses. Save it in the middle. 2, 3. So my seat's unplugged. I'm going to take out the 4 Torx bolts, which are in the front and the back, and then lift the seat up out of here. So this is a T40 Torx head. I'm going to start with the back one towards the center console. There's one. The next one's going to be right behind the seat here. Probably have to slide the seat forward. A second to roll the seat up. Okay. 2. Make sure you're pushing down firmly on those. And if you're using a lesser expensive impact socket or a lesser expensive tool, make sure you keep it in there good. You don't want to strip those out for sure. So back in the front, I've got 2 bolts left. I'm probably going to have to use a ratchet on that one over there. Don't think I can get to it with an impact, but 1. And let's see if I can get in there. Just enough room. Okay, there's that. So with the seat out of there, now I can get to my console easier. Again, there were 3 screws. As you can see, much easier now with the seat out. 3, and I believe that was a T20 Torx head. So with the seat out, I'm going to lift up on this slow because I'm not sure what's underneath it. There's a snap up here on your emergency brake. loosen that so your shifter boot will slide. I'm gonna lift up. I know you've got to pull back on this, so once you lift the back up a little bit, wiggle it back, because in the front here there's 2 tabs here and at the bottom, so you've got to actually slide this into that so this goes back. And when we lift up, I'm not sure what we're connected with, if anything, besides just the shifter itself or the emergency brake. So it looks like I've got plenty of room under here to get to what I want. So what I want are these 2 harnesses going up to the lighters. So right here's a tab. It's just a wire holder. Got 2 going up. Now these do light up also. So here's my wiring harnesses. One's got a green piece of tape on it, and one's not got one on it. If that makes any sense. Looking at the wires, I've got a yellow, a red and gray, and a black. I've got a yellow, red and yellow, and a black. So just by looking at them, I'm going to say the yellow is most likely the key on. So even though this is 12 volt constant, the light ring around it lights up, so it makes it look, I guess, fancy. So one of these is going to be a key on. So basically we're going to tap into the one that's hot and the one in the ground all the time. So basically what I want to do is I want to tap into the hot and the ground and not the key on. So I'm going to probe these and figure out which one's the hot, which one's the ground. I might just Google real quick and see if I can find a harness online, but most likely I'm not going to. So I'm going to pull this tape back so I can get to the harness. I'm going to unplug them, and I'm just going to probe the connectors on the ends. Okay, now I've got my wire connections where I can get to them. I'm just going to probe the ends because I can see the metal in there, so I know I can just reach in and probe them. One of these is going to be constant, and one of them is going to be key on. So I've got 12 volts here, so I know for a fact this harness is my 12 volt positive all the time. I'm going to probe the other one just to make sure. This one should not get any juice at all. So that one's dead. So if I key on up here, I'm going to go up there and turn the key on. So my key on's now. My key's on now. I probe, now I got 12 volts here. I'm going to leave my ground in. And I've also got 12 volts on the yellow now. So I know for a fact my yellow is key on also. So in a way I could just pull the key on and the hot off of one leg. I'm going to keep them both separate, and I'm just going to tap off of both of them. That way I don't have any issues down the road. I'm not pulling too much juice on one than the other. I'm only going to plug in a couple small accessories, so I'm not worried about drawing too much power on it. It's fused on the other end, so I'm not worried about a fuse in line. So I'm going to put a couple snap-on connectors in there and extend my wires up to the front here. So my green, sorry about that. So my green is my key on, and my non-green is my constant hot. And on my harness in here, my key on is red and yellow, black and yellow, and my constant is red and gray, black and yellow. So I'm going to peel this back a little bit because I can get the best grip on it here. I might be able to get some more from the front, but this goes down and through over to the driver's side, so I'm just going to peel this back right here. And I'm going to pause it while I do that, so you don't have to watch me do that. Okay, so after a couple minutes cutting that one back, you got to be careful not to cut your wire, of course. So it takes a little bit longer, but I've found just take a pair of snips and just nip it like that and work your way up the wire. You're less likely to cut the wire off that way. I'll cut off my excess here without cutting my wire. So there's my key on ready. I'm going to do the same thing on my constant. Alright, so I've cut me a couple leads here. I've got a red and black, well, 2 reds, 2 blacks. I've got enough to lead me all the way to the front of the vehicle, so I'm not sure where I'm going to go. Now again, before somebody says something, I know you can get a ground from up front somewhere. So technically you can pull a ground off the frame, off the battery. You can get another ground up front somewhere. so you don't have to tap into your ground here. Again, I'm going to do that just to keep the two pieces separate. Again, I'm doing it just to keep these two items independent, and it's just less confusing for some people than trying to figure out how to get a ground. So this is more of a beginner how to tap into the wiring versus, yeah, you can get a ground off the frame if you scrape a part of it down. Make sure you got a good contact, a good ground. But if you're going into the factory grounds from the same unit, you're less likely to get a short problem or drain your battery by doing it this way. Alright, something else I did was I took the wires and taped them together so I know which pair is which when I go to the front. I also separated the ends so you can see the black and the red aren't near each other. Since one of these is constant all the time, when you crimp these together, if those are touching each other, that red's touching something, it's going to arc and you're probably going to pop a fuse. So I'm going to put this up here. So I'm just kind of guesstimate where I want to go because I don't know where I'm going to go yet. Now if you've never used one of these before, basically our new wire is going to go into the end of here. So I'm not sure how well you can see it on the camera. One end of these is stopped, so there's no way you can actually push the wire through. The other end, it goes through and it feeds into where it's past the, yeah, I'm not sure if you can see that or not. Let me see if I get light in there. To where it's past the stab lock there. Alright, so I'm going to slide this connector with my wire pushed in all the way over top of my hot wire. And I can see it's all the way back in there. So it's sat in place. And I'm just going to take this with a pair of pliers and close it shut. And when I do that, it's going to pierce the two wires and actually make us a little jumper wire off of it. If I can get my pliers in here. Like so. So now on the other end, this wire should be hot all the time now. So if I take my voltmeter, if I can find my probe, probe my hot, find any chassis ground, I got voltage. So that's my constant hot right here. So I'll put that where I don't arc it out on anything. Okay, so I've pulled my ground off of my constant. So there's my constant, my ground, and my key on up here. So I'm going to check my constant and my ground this time. So here's my extension for my constant. A voltmeter. I found my probes. There's my ground. And it should have 12 volts now. Which I do. Perfect. So my other side, I've got nothing. I just ran the hot wire to it. If I can find it. And again, I'm going to just tap the ground when I get up front for the other one. So I'll ground everything. I'm going to ground off of this one wire here. That way I'm going to tap it into this wire one time. So my key on gets a red wire. My constant gets a red and a black wire. And before I forget, I'm going to nip the tip off of there so I don't short it out on something, because it is hot all the time now. So if you arc it to the frame or something, you're going to blow a fuse. Okay, so for a little added security, I taped up the end of the wire, even though I cut it off. That way when I'm pulling up through the frame, I don't hit anything. My ground wire, I'm going to tape back into this so I know where my ground is. If you have a label maker, you could actually label these up front. I'm going to tag them with a color coding. I've got some phasing tape, so I'm just going to put a piece of tape on there, and that way I know which one's which. Alright, hopefully you can hear me over the air conditioning. What I've done is put a green piece of tape on here, so I know green under here, green at the top. This is my key on. Tape the black and red together on the other end, so I know this is my constant. I'm just going to go ahead for now and fish it towards the front. I'm going to pull this panel. I'm not going to pull this. This is the whole piece right here, but this back piece comes off. I'm going to tape these connectors up just because they're metal blades, and I don't really trust when you close those down. If that metal pops up through the top or something, it can arc something out. Obviously, it's not through there. I checked them, but just for my own mental whatever satisfaction, I'm going to put a piece of tape around them just because. Okay, in the front here, again, this piece is solid that comes down off of the console. This piece back here comes out though. So if you can get a hold of it, You can use a body tool if you have to, but this one is pretty easy. Just get your finger under there, pull out towards the front, and it feels like it's going to break, but it's not. It pops out. Don't pull to the back, because there's actually a tab right there that slides up into that groove. So you're pulling the front out, and then you're pulling towards you to get it out of there. So that piece is off there now. So I'm just going to take this wire, feed it up under here, feed it behind here, and pull it out through here. Doing this, make sure you avoid any obstructions. Make sure there's no cables in the way, no other things. And if you can follow the factory harness, normally if you can follow the factory harnessing, they're out of the way of anything anyhow. So make sure I've got a clear path. Pull my slack out of here. Tuck this back under. And make sure that's tucked up in there where it was. Where's my slack? So, and now I'm ready to put this piece back in. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna probably take two hands to do this, but basically if I lift up on the back a little bit, again I want to line this tab up right there. I don't know if I can do it one-handed or not. There we go. And slides up in there like that. And I gotta check the other side because the other side's probably out. We'll put my 3 screws back in here, put my 3 screws on the other side, because our wires are up here now. That's all we needed for underneath there. Right, so this is what I'm putting in here. Get out of the bag. Basically just threads in from behind, so I can put it in any piece of body work I want. It's got a dual USB charger underneath of it, and it's got a USBC in it. So I need to find somewhere up underneath here that I can still access for different things. So if I want to plug my phone and stuff in, I'm going to need to find somewhere more up toward the top that I can fit this. So basically what I need to do is I need to find a pocket underneath of the bodywork somewhere that this will fit down into. Alright, I'm going to show you how to get the glove box out of this ProMaster. Sometimes you can squeeze in and get the glove boxes out. Some of them you got to drop the frame. This one's actually pretty simple. If you look in there, there's a black tab there, and on the other side behind my mask there, there's another black tab. Basically all you want to do, if you got good fingers, let me see if I can get my finger in there without blocking the camera. If you push in on that tab, push in on that tab, this latch will actually come out of the inside. That releases that side. You want to do the same thing on the other side. In. Oops, I had it. Push that one in. So I gotta switch hands. Push the other one in. I'm gonna lift up a little bit on the glove box. I'm taking pressure off the tab. Again, I know it's pitch black in there. If the tab pops out, then your glove box will swing free. That's how you get in behind the glove box. Okay, so after I drop my glove box, I can get my hand up in here and I can feel around. So I was thinking directly in the back here at first, but my plug's a little bit too deep for that. So I got looking on the inside edge here. I can get my hand up in there. There's nothing in the way back here, so I can feel the vent, so I'm not going to hit the vent tube. If I go down below or down low at the bottom, I'm going to take my plug, I'm going to put it up in there from the inside and make sure it doesn't hit anything. So I've got my finger between anything behind it. It's flush like it would be sitting in there, so I know for a fact I can drill through that now without having to worry about hitting anything in back of it and shorting something out. So the next thing is drilling a hole in your dashboard. So to drill a hole in the dashboard, I'm going to use a step bit. Now before I just go gung-ho and blast that through and have the wrong size hole, you only get one shot at this. And again, do this at your own risk. If you go through too far, you're going to have a big hole in your dashboard, and the only part in mine is it's the entire dashboard. So if I screw it up, I'm going to have to replace the dashboard or have a big hole in my dash for however long I'm in the vehicle. So what I did is I took the nut off the back. So the nut is the same size as the thread you need. So I'm going to take my step bit, I'm going to slide the nut down into the step bit, figure out where it stops at. So I stop right there. Take my phasing tape from earlier, I'm going to wrap a piece of tape around it. So So I need to be stopped at this ring right here. So when I'm drilling, when I plunge into that one, I stop drilling. That way I don't go too far. And then if for some reason I need to go another step down, I can pull the tape off and drop it in one more. Alright, moment of truth. Step bits on the drill. Again, I've checked the back of it. The drill barely fits in here. I'm going to go low because I have more space down there. I've got to try to guesstimate where the middle is. So I've made a little tiny mark where my middle is. And then you just got to commit. That's not enough, so I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Okay, I'm on my tape now. So before I go any further, I'm going to take my plug. I'm going to try it in the hole. And I can push that in from there. So I know my plug fits there now, so what I'm going to do now, before I push it the rest of the way in, I'm going to take a razor knife and clean it up just a little bit. Actually, I'm not even going to do that because it's a nice clean hole. I'm going to take my constant, because this is going to be for my phone, and I'm going to feed it up and in through here. I'm going to pull the leads out here, I'm going to connect the leads out here, tape them up good, shove it in. Put your nut on the wire before you do that though, so slide your nut down the wire, that way you can pull it up and tighten up the back of it. Hold that up temporarily. I'm going to leave my key on down below for now. So again, green wire is my key on. I'm just going to push this up behind here. There's a couple factory wires already going up here. I'm going to push this down here, reach up in the glove box, and pull it up through the glove box. Okay, once I'm in the glove box, I can feel back here, there's nothing in the way. I'm not laying up against anything hot. I got it behind my panels. There's a piece of metal right there, so I'm going to go around that piece of metal. I don't want to create any chafing points. Once I get to this point, now I can get up in here and right out through where my connector is going to go. Came with a couple stick-ons. Remember, when you're cutting this, one at a time, because this one's hot all the time, cut them together, you're going to arc it, going to short something out. So I'm going to come just a little bit shorter, not a lot. There's my ground. There's my hot. And remember, my ground's going up through the bottom there, so when I push this back in, I'm going to have enough room that if I want to put the other one somewhere, or decide I want to put my key on somewhere else off of this, I can tap my ground from below. If my other hot wire, my key on hot wire, is too short and I want to continue on, all I've got to do is join it together and make the key on longer. If I want to add an amplifier later with a key on, I've got my key on down there also. It'd be easy to add an amplifier to it. So I've got my crimpers. I went ahead and put them on there, so I'm ready to go. I'll take my wire. I'm going to look so I know I get it up in there good. Feeds all the way past the metal. Once I get in there, make sure I didn't go too far. And then all I have to do is squeeze. You don't have to kill it, but you want it tight enough that it's not going to fall back out on you. So a good crimp there. Wire's not going to come back off. Repeat it for this side. Again, remember that's hot. If you're using a 16 gauge wire, make sure you use the 16 gauge on your strippers. If your strippers are dull like mine, it may take a little bit longer, but especially if you're videotaping for the world to see. If you see a bunch of little pieces of copper fly off, do it again, you've got it the wrong size. With that, I'm ready to put this on. It is tagged positive and negative, so make sure you don't reverse the polarity on it. Rubber flap is up to you. I'm going to keep mine on there just because. If you don't want the rubber flap on there, take it off now, or I guess you can tear it off later, but you can slide it off right now easy. So I'm going to do positive is silver, which is kind of opposite of usually in the US. Normally copper is hot, so make sure you actually look at the connections. Slide that on there. Slide Add that on there. And we're hot all the time. Now there's a power button here. You can actually turn it on and off with. I'm not sure what the little lightning bolt, I think that's surge protection. Alright, here's one of those rewind bloopers. What I didn't pay attention to when I bought this is it's illuminated. Well, it doesn't time out, so it's going to stay lit up forever if I keep the key on. So basically I'm going to have to run to the store, run to AutoZone or somewhere, and get a USB that's not illuminated, because if not, it's just going to light up all the time. And, I mean, I don't think it'll kill your battery because there's one little LED chiclet in there, but it's enough that if the vehicle's turned off, it's dark, it's going to light up the dashboard all the time. So I either need to bring my key on up here, which defeats the whole purpose of me plugging my phone in and charging it, or change this out so it's not lit up. So I'm going to disappear for probably a couple hours, come back, it's going to be like no time, and I'll have the right part in there. So after searching high and low locally, nobody around here has a USB plug that's hardwired like that, so got back on Amazon, ordered one. So in the meantime, I'm going to use this one because, again, at least I can turn the power on and off. I just have to remember to do it. And again, that light probably will not kill the battery, but why take a chance? So as soon as the new one gets here, I'll pull this one back out and swap it. But for now, at least you can see how the install looks, and you might like to light up the dashboard a little bit. But again, I could do the key on up here if I wanted to instead of that one, but I want to charge my phone, so I want it constant hot. So for now, I can at least put everything back together. I don't really need to get into anything besides drop the glove box again to get back up into there, change that out. So I'm going to go ahead and lift my glove box up. Alright, so when you're going to pick your glove box back up, pick it back up, go past the stopping point. Line up your little pins on the inside here. I know it's hard to see with the light. Once you push those in place, you'll see it come to the other side. Click it in. So, and then your glove box catches that side. And see if I can get a better shot at this side over here. Where my clip drop to. And again, these clips are just going to catch the inside of those little tabs there. So I'm going to put my stop facing this way. I'm going to lift the box up a little bit more and just click it past the stops. Just no way of doing this without blocking the camera view. Either way, push that in, snap it in place. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bottom panel back on. I'm going to take my key on wire for now. I'm just going to tuck it because this is easy to get to. There's plenty of space there. There's nothing that moves in there. Put my key on wire. I'll tuck it. And again, this is going to be hot when it's keyed on, so make sure your end's not touching anything or you tape it off. I'm just going to wrap mine around this wire here. It's not going to go anywhere. Like so. Make sure my other lines are out of the way. Here's my clamp or my clip where the side cover goes back in, one up above it. So the clip, and again, remember when you're putting this back in, it goes back in the hole first. You can see, connects into that piece back there and slides in. So the piece back there. I'm not sure how good the camera angle is. I'm trying here. Back in through that. Like so. Then your clip should line up here. And that piece is back on. So we're all ready besides dropping the seat back in. So reverse the seat. We're going to put the 4 bolts. We're going to set the seat in, put the 4 bolts in it. Plug in our wires for the seat. And we'll technically be done besides cleaning up everything. Alright, if you watched the video I did the other day, I was telling you about a pocket underneath of these seats. Since I've got the seat out, you can actually see now how big that hole is. So if I shine my light up in here, I can get my, at least my full hand width in there, so that's probably 6 or 8 inches deep. And it goes all the way left and right. So again, if something falls off the back here, hits the back of the seat, it's going to roll right up under there. A pain in the butt to get it out of there. So what I'll probably end up doing is I'll find a way to block this. I might even just take a small piece of wood, put it back here, and just attach it to the metal so I don't have stuff going in there. I may try to use it for something. and like store something in there, I might put a like an air compressor or something like that in there that I might want to keep with me without having to do everything with. Nice try, Kelly. You almost got it under there. Trying to prove my point, but it's a little too big. But I might put something in there that I'm going to keep. I keep a like a tire patch kit, a lot of stuff, a first aid kit. Might be a good place for stuff like that. All right, so I got the floorboard cleaned up. I got all the pieces of wire cleaned up. I got my panels back in. I got my screws back in. I got my charger in place. So I'll also have to put the seat back in. Okay, my seat's back in. That was simple, just drop it on top, 4 bolts. Plug my wiring harnesses in back underneath. So that's all for this video. Again, that was how to add a extra USB power supply or USB port, cigarette lighter, any type of accessory coming off of the metal console there. Again, sorry for the script on my behalf. I never even thought about it being lit. I should have, but I didn't. Again, I'll do another video when I follow this one up, putting the correct one in there. And again, I will repurpose that one because I do need some key-ons also. I just don't like the fact they put them in between the drink holders. That doesn't make a lot of sense.